Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video I want to talk about my all-time favorite foundations. I don't think I've done a foundations favorites video since I basically started my YouTube channel, like right at the beginning during the first few months of me posting videos like 4 years ago. I did a foundation favorites video and it was like a foundation wardrobe. I was telling you about my favorite foundations for different occasions. In today's video, I'm just going to talk about my favorites, period. It doesn't matter if a few of them do pretty much the exact same thing, they are still my favorites, so I want to tell you about them. Anyways, for reference, I have pretty dry skin, especially around my mouth area. The center of my forehead can sometimes get a little shiny, but for the most part, from here down, my face is very, very dry. And so usually my main issues with foundation is them getting dry throughout the day. So sometimes they break apart, they look a little crusty. Those are kind of the things that I look for in foundations and I try to avoid. And so the foundations that I'm going to tell you guys about today are foundations that wear beautifully on me throughout the whole day. And so I simply cannot wait to share these foundations with you. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a total of 10 foundations in front of me, 6 of which are part of what I call my favorite foundation rotation, and then 4 of them which are an honorable mention per se. So foundations that I reach for just if I'm in the mood for certain qualities. And while this is not going to be a rankings video, I am going to start with my honorable mentions, then I'll move to the 6 foundations in my favorite foundation rotation, and I want to make sure to let you know what my top 2 or 3 foundations are. Honorable mention number 1 is the foundation that I reach for if I'm in the mood for a cream foundation. My favorite types of foundation are a thin liquid foundation with a medium coverage. However, sometimes I'm in the mood for something else. And as of lately, my favorite cream foundation has been the Ois foundation. It used to be the Huda Beauty Stick foundation, which I still love, but this cream foundation right here is just a little bit better. It has more of a natural to glowy finish rather than natural to matte like Huda. It's also very buildable. It comes in this red cardboard box, or it could also come in this very beautiful luxurious packaging. And I just really love how creamy this one is and how much you can build it up to your liking. That is one thing I really love about cream foundations, and maybe one of the reasons sometimes I'm in the mood for a cream foundation is how customizable they are, because you can do a teeny tiny bit on like a specific area if you want, or you can build it up to like a medium to full coverage. So the Ois foundation, definitely my favorite one when I'm in the mood for a cream. I forgot to say, another huge advantage of cream foundations is that they come in like little tiny compacts or just like a foundation stick, and so they're extremely easy to travel with and you don't have to worry about them spilling. Honorable mention number 2 is when I'm in the mood to use something that is drugstore priced, and my favorite drugstore foundation is this one here, the e.l.f. Camo Cc Cream. This has a beautiful medium buildable to like almost a full coverage. It has a natural finish. I love that it doesn't look too thick on my dry skin, and I also love that it doesn't get dry throughout the day. This is definitely a drugstore gem and another foundation that I highly recommend. It also has skincare ingredients in it like collagen peptides, niacinamide. It has an SPF of 30, so it's also a great foundation to wear for the summertime, although you should be putting sunscreen on underneath it, of course. But this foundation is definitely one that I reach for quite a lot as well, and the most affordable of my top 10 foundations at $16. Now, when I'm in the mood for something extremely lightweight with a radiant finish and a beautiful coverage, this one here is the one that I reach for. I feel like this is an amazing summertime foundation. I prefer to use it during the summertime at least. This is the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue Foundation. When it comes to tinted moisturizer type products, this right here is the one that I reach for. As you can see, I've used a lot of it. It's like more than halfway gone, I would say. This foundation also has an SPF. It has an SPF of 45 and it has a stunning radiant finish. If you have oily skin, I don't know that this would be a favorite one for you because it really looks extremely shiny on the face. It has a buildable medium coverage and it's extremely thin, so it looks very, very natural on the skin. I find that sometimes this is not a foundation that I want to wear if I need my foundation to last me 12 plus hours, and it's also not a transfer proof foundation. However, I absolutely love the look of it, and whenever I'm in the mood for something very, very lightweight with SPF, this is the one that I reach for. The last foundation that is part of my honorable mentions is one that might surprise you, and that is this right here, the Lissa Eldridge foundation. This came out last year right before the holidays and I was obsessed with it. I couldn't stop raving about it. I loved it. I was using it almost every day. And then I feel like as winter progressed, like as December started getting colder and January arrived and things got a little bit drier, it wasn't working on me the way that it was working when I first got it, which was kind of like at the end of fall, I think. And so unfortunately, I don't think this is a foundation that I'm going to be able to use year round because my skin gets so dry during the winter time, and it started looking a little bit dry right here around my mouth. However, I do really love the look of this foundation. This foundation actually makes my pores look diminished and blurred. It has a beautiful medium to full coverage. It has an amazing, I would say, natural to matte finish. This is a foundation that I would totally reach for if I want my makeup to just look flawless during times when it's not super dry in the winter. It is a beautiful, beautiful foundation, but unfortunately, because it doesn't work for me when my skin's a little drier, it hasn't become part of my favorite foundation rotation. Regardless though, I think this is an absolutely fantastic foundation, especially if you have oily combination or normal skin. I think you will absolutely love this. My very dry skin around my mouth area just has to wait till it's a little bit more humid to fall back in love with it, but it is one of the top foundations in my collection, and so I definitely wanted to mention it. And now that we're done with those four, we are moving on to my favorite foundation rotation. So these 6 foundations I'm about to mention work for me year round. I love to reach for them because they are all a medium buildable coverage. They are all very thin looking, and so my dry skin absolutely loves them. They look very natural and undetectable on my skin. They never look cakey, never look thick, never make me dry. This is my superstar lineup right here that I can always count on. And so we are going to start with the Ois Beauty Foundation. This foundation is the second most affordable foundation that I'm mentioning at $22, and this is the foundation that I reach for when I want my makeup to look very radiant throughout the day. This foundation definitely has a very shiny finish to it, so just take that into consideration when you're buying it. I do definitely like to powder in the center of the face because foundations with a very radiant finish sometimes can make your pores look a little bit more apparent. However, when I put this all over the face and I set the center of the face, any pores that the foundation might have highlighted fully go away, and I stay looking very natural, radiant where I want to be radiant, with the most beautiful coverage, a foundation that is very thin, undetectable. I just really love the way that this foundation makes my skin look. And by the way, I think except for maybe the Ois foundation, I have videos of reviews for each foundation that I am mentioning in today's video. So if you're interested in seeing how the foundation applies on my face or how it wears throughout the day and all of that, definitely check out the review videos of when I first got these foundations. Anyways, The Ois foundation, absolutely spectacular, highly recommended, really nice and budget friendly, and it gives you the best radiant finish with the best medium coverage. I feel like the top few foundations are probably going to sound a little bit repetitive because, like I said, they have very similar texture, finish, and coverage, but this is just the type of texture, finish, and coverage that I love. Moving on to the foundation that I am wearing today, and that is this one right here. It is the Tarte C Hydraflex foundation. By the way, I will list all of these foundations below in the description box with the shade name next to them in case you guys are curious. So this foundation, I would say, is the most lightweight foundation I own. Or I guess, you know what? Actually, there's one more foundation that feels just as lightweight as this one. I will let you know once I get there. But this foundation feels like you're not wearing anything on your face. It has a beautiful natural finish, not too radiant, not too matte. I find that it wears beautifully on me throughout the day. This is actually one that I can show you on because I'm wearing it today. It has a beautiful medium buildable coverage. You can still see my freckles through it, but all of my redness is fully gone. And like I said, it just doesn't really feel like I'm wearing much, and I absolutely love that about it. Plus, even though this is a high-end foundation, it's not super expensive. This is $39, and of course I highly recommend it. Okay, so the next foundation is the Luminous Silk Foundation from Armani. I don't know what took me so long to finally try this foundation. I feel like I've now had it for maybe 6 to 8 months, and I absolutely love it. It quickly became one of my top favorite foundations. It has a beautiful natural finish, very lightweight, medium buildable coverage. All of the things that I absolutely love in a foundation. I find this one to be very reliable. It not only wears beautifully on me throughout the day, but I can count on it having a very long lasting power. Because it's more of a natural finish rather than radiant, I feel like it doesn't really transfer much. It sets really nicely, and besides that, all I have to say is yes, the hype is real. Believe them, this foundation is actually the bomb. And if you haven't ever tried it, I highly recommend that you do. Okay, so we only have 3 more foundations to go, and these 3 that I'm about to mention are actually my all-time top favorite foundations. If I had to throw away all of my foundations and keep 3, I believe that these would be the 3 that I would be keeping. That's how strongly I feel about them. So again, in no particular order, I truly just really love all 3 of these. The first one I want to mention is this one right here. This is the Dior Air Flash foundation. This foundation is fabulous. In my opinion, the best way to apply it is to spray it onto a brush and then brush it on to the face. It has a beautiful medium buildable coverage, very thin with a radiant finish. This foundation is truly buildable. Like, you can use almost nothing, or you can build it all the way to like a very solid medium coverage, I would say. I don't know how else to describe it except it just makes your skin look perfect. And this is a foundation that I truly believe works for every single skin type. It doesn't matter if you're oily, if you're dry, normal, combination. This foundation, I believe, suits everybody. It is one of the most popular foundations out there, in my opinion. And it's because it truly is one of the best foundations out there. I tend not to reach for mine a lot because I kind of save it for like special occasions. When I want something reliable, glamorous, when I want something that is going to look good all day and night, this is the foundation that I reach for. And it's kind of like a fancy foundation to use, I think, even though the 2 that I'm about to mention after this one I reach for more, and they're probably around the same price. But anyways, I don't understand my logic either. This is just a fancy foundation. I save it for special occasions like date night, nighttime, party type of foundation. That's what this foundation is here for. Anyways, fantastic foundation, nice and bougie. I highly recommend it. Then, of course, if you've ever watched any of my videos, you know that this foundation was coming, the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish foundation. This is actually my second bottle of this one. I fully finished an entire one because I like this foundation a lot. I reach for it a lot. pretty pricey. I believe the price for this one is $68, and it's just fantastic. I don't know how else to describe it. It has all of those attributes that I like: the medium buildable coverage, the natural or radiant finish. It's very, very thin. Now, I think the thing that I like about this foundation most is how thin and natural it looks. Like, if you want a foundation where you don't look like you're wearing makeup and you just look like you have perfect skin, this is the foundation for you. When I mentioned that this was my most lightweight foundation, this is the other foundation that I was referring to that was also just as lightweight. It's a very liquidy foundation, keep that in mind. I've had accidents where I've sprayed it all over the place because it comes out a little bit too fast, so it could be a little messy. So keep that in mind so that you don't have to clean your whole makeup table like I've done a couple of times. So it's a very liquidy foundation, but that particular quality makes it undetectable on the skin. It blends out beautifully, it builds up beautifully, it covers all of my redness, but it still lets some of my natural skin show through beautifully. It is just fantastic, and I highly doubt that I will ever stop raving about this foundation because it is amazing. And last but certainly not least, a foundation that is pretty new to my collection, but I have found that it is so similar to my Pat McGrath, and it immediately made it all the way to the top. This is part of my top 3 foundations, the #1 Visional Foundation. I actually did a video comparing these two side by side, and I absolutely love them both. The Pat McGrath one is $68, the Chanel one is $70, so they're pretty close in price, but Pat McGrath tends to have 25 to 30% off sales often, so you could probably get a better deal on the Pat McGrath one, and so I would recommend doing that. However, if you want something that is not as liquidy but a little bit more creamy, the Chanel foundation might probably be the one for you, and it still has that very flawless look to the face that looks extremely natural. It looks like your skin is just perfected rather than you have makeup on your skin. It's wonderful. I did a video where I compared these two side by side. I will go ahead and link that video below if you are interested so that you can see me applying them side by side. I lowered the light, show you up close so that you can kind of draw your own conclusion, and my conclusion was that I couldn't pick one, okay? I really love them both. I think that they're both fantastic and they both wear so beautifully on my skin that I literally can't pick one over the other. So this is the last foundation favorite I had to talk about today, and one of my top 3 foundations in my foundation collection. I truly hope that this video was helpful. I was actually kind of excited to film it because it's been a very, very long time since I talked about my foundation favorites. I do mention my foundation favorites often, but I hadn't actually made a foundation favorites video in a very long time. So much so that I believe that these are all new foundation favorites. Last time I filmed this video, I was trying and loving very, very different foundations. I will say there is one that has stood the test of time because 4 years ago in my foundation favorites video, I mentioned my Dior Air Flash foundation, and it is still part of my top of the top in my collection. So that is all I have for you guys in this video. You can find the links to all of these foundations down in the description box, as well as everything that I am wearing on my face today. Let me know if any of the foundations I mentioned today are your favorite down in the comment section, or if none of these are your favorite, let me know what your favorite is. But also tell me your skin type, because you might help somebody else in the comment section if you're like, oh, I love the Smashbox foundation and my skin is oily, or you know, so that we can see skin type versus favorite foundation, what you guys like. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already, and please subscribe to my channel before you leave. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.